Hi, I'm Eva Sonaike, and this is how I live with style. I'm an interior textile designer, and I love to surround myself with color and pattern and African elements. I travel a lot across the African continent. I'm from West Africa, grew up in Germany, so all of these elements I think are reflected in my home and in my style. After 2 years of not being able to travel, I was finally able to travel again and went first to Nigeria, to my home country. So I went to an arts and crafts market outside of Lagos where I saw these 3 amazing threaded paintings. I met the artists there and fell in love with them. The colors, the pattern, and it also has a texture about them which I thought would look great in my house. So here they are. So this is my latest collection, which you see here. All my products are obviously inspired by African designs. This is inspired by Kano, which is a place in northern Nigeria, which is very well known for its Hausa architecture. Really beautiful, intricate, ornate motifs on the outside of the buildings, which I found beautiful. So I thought I'd represent this in a collection. So this little cozy corner here, I call it the cozy corner because we have got a lamp which is really beautiful for ambient lighting in the evening. It's really warm and welcoming. I also have this very interesting device where people often ask me what it is. And again, I got this in Nigeria on a market. The chief elders or tribal elders use it. It's actually a device to get rid of flies. So they sit there, and when they're somewhere out, in the bush or somewhere where there's lots of flies and mosquitoes, and you just use it to get rid of flies. Sometimes you see it at weddings these days that people wear it and like very elegantly fan themselves or get rid of everything that flies. And I think it looks perfect in my home, so I have it here with me. Obviously not the real Benin bronzes, but Benin bronzes replicas, which I again picked up on a market in West Africa, and it's a his and her, and I just find the shape really, really beautiful and elegant, and they just represented my husband and myself, we thought, so we put them here in the house. Love to read, as you can tell. There are lots of books. I think this is more my husband's side. If you come to this side, it gets really colorful and bold. Lots of books on fashion, on textile, on design, which are all mine. But generally, it's African-inspired design, colors, patterns. And here, that's one of my favorite pieces. We recently did a collaboration with Soho Home, the interior side of Soho House, and I designed this rug for them. So this is the original Soho Home rug, which I have here in the house, and I think it blends in perfectly with the overall colors of the house. So here we have our little fish called Bino and Fino. They have been with us for 7 years and are actually part of the family right now. My children, husband and myself, we all appreciate and cherish them, so they live here with us. As an interior designer, you come across many homes, and some homes feel like show homes. I like homes that feel lived in, that have a story, have elements that, represent who we are. So for example, this piece, it's a little musical instrument which I picked up on my first trip to Ghana. It's over a decade ago, I don't know exactly when it was. We went to the mountains for a day trip into a botanical garden, which also inspired me to design a collection. And we were like in the middle, it was very foggy and misty, and the greens were so lush and the earth was red, and it was a real kind of spiritual trip for me, I feel. And I found these musical instruments up there, which we back then bought for the kids because they used to like to play on them, but we kept them. We had them for over the decade. They're still part of our family history, and I think that's really important to me, to have items here that represents who we are and represent the experiences we lived as a family, and where we had great memories. And one other element I love about our house is that we have a sunken living and dining area here, which gives the house another dimension. I feel it, really helps with the height of the ceilings. So we have a higher ceiling height in this part of the house. I grew up in Germany. My parents live in Germany. My mom had a pediatric surgery in Germany. She's a doctor. So I've got this really beautiful antique German chest. So that was one of the items when she was a student in Germany she bought, and that my parents gave it to me when I moved into this house, to have a piece of our home in Germany in the house. I really like the detail on here. Gives it a dimension. Even if it's not African, it still fits into the overall design scheme of the house. We have this really large Indian teak wood dining table. I mean, we literally dine on here, we eat on here every day, we have friends over at weekends, so it's a really nice area here where we all come together, we have conversations with friends, sit down, laugh, eat. I love to set the table really beautifully and intricately. So I've got a studio in North London where my team works from and where I work from most of the time, but on certain days I love to stay at home, work from my dining table. I've got the light here, I've got the peace here, I've got my green garden, and I think that's where my creative juices often flow the most. All my designs are sketched by hand. Often I recommend not to have more than 3, maximum 4 colors in a design scheme. Have 60% of one color, then you can have 30% of an additional color and 10% of an accent color. So you can go really overboard with that, you can go really, really plain and simple with that. So when it comes to pattern is another thing. So I think patterns often can be overpowering. I think you need to really know what you're doing when using patterns in your home. For example, if you have a circular pattern and mix that with a more geometric pattern, that may not necessarily work. I mean, I myself agree. So you need to have a look at the shapes of the pattern. That's the first one. So if you, for example, have a circular pattern and mix that with another circular pattern, I mean, they harmonize better together. So look at the shape of your pattern. I think that's a really, really good point to start with. So this is my bedroom, which is actually my favorite room in the house. It's in a really calming color scheme of lilac and whites, and it's really, you know, restorative when I come back after hard days of work. It's nice after a hot bath to come in here, read a book, you know, speak to my friends or mom on the phone, you know, spend some time by myself watching something. So it's a really nice and restorative space. But I wanted an accent piece in here. I wanted something which stands out and, you know, like kind of translates the colors and patterns and the vividness of the other elements I have into the house, into the bedroom. So I upholstered this mid-century chair in my orange Audi fabric, which I initially created solely for myself because I wanted it for this bedroom. I wanted something with orange and pink, which stands in kind of a contrast to the overall calming scheme. And yeah, there was the chair which we made, and I loved it so much that I thought, like, you know what, if I like it, other people will like it. So we introduced it to the line and have it as part of our collection right now. So my bedroom has also kind of lots of little trinkets, and everything has a story. This is a typical beaded South African bag. I saw it on the market there, I really loved it. I've never worn it out, but I love it as a display item in my bedroom. There are lots of other pieces in here that, you know, I really like and that really again add to my overall story. This painting here, I got it from a friend of my dad. I think I was maybe about 14 or 15. He was from France and he worked at the Museum Sacré-Cœur, and he brought this painting for me, and I had it since then. I had it in my bedrooms since my teenagehood. Wherever I lived in the UK, I lived in the US, I lived in Germany, and wherever I went, this painting went with me, and I love it. It's quite battered, the frame is coming apart, but I love it, and it's really, really dear to me, and I wanted it to be in my bedroom because it's so, you know, close to my heart. So coming from a family of, my dad worked in the arts world, my mom was a pediatrician, but still had, you know, real kind of interest and was a hobby designer, hobby garden designer, and interior designer. So there were always art auctions, etc. So I remember seeing this little Baroque angel from a German Baroque church with my dad restored. And in, you know, lots of the stuff got left over, you know, certain things they replaced. I remember finding this in the cellar in our house in Germany one day, and I loved it so much. Again, I carried it in my suitcase here to the UK, and it's really dear to me because it's almost like a little guardian angel in the bedroom. This is another piece which I actually nicked from my parents. They went on a trip in, I think, the 1960s, way before I was born, on a safari in Tanzania and Kenya, and picked up this original Maasai neck piece, which was hanging in our apartment in Germany for years, and I always loved it and admired it, and I didn't feel they didn't give it any justice, so I took it and mounted it on a frame, and it has been hanging here ever since, and I really love it. Thank you so much for coming to visit me on the house tour today. It was a real pleasure showing you around. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sunday Times Style YouTube channel. And I better go now because I think my kids are coming back from school, so I better go and get ready for them. Bye.